All right, what is going on, guys? Happy Monday. We have got a 10-game slate on the table today. But first, let's get into our recap. But prior to that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We just hit 200 subs. Thank you to everybody that has subscribed. Now we're on to the chase for 300. So let's jump into the recap. Profitable day, just up under a unit. So Tampa Bay, Cleveland over 8. Man, they just could not score a run. So that was kind of frustrating. Tampa Bay just really struggled to score runs those last two games. Houston run line. Boy, that was looking sweat-free until the 8th and the 9th inning. Ended up winning 6-4, so barely got that one. That was looking real sketchy. I thought they were going to blow it. Dodgers Atlanta over 8.5. This wasn't looking good until we went into extra innings, and the Dodgers scored like 7. So we ended up blowing over that number. And then Cincinnati team total over 3.5. Really disappointing. They had 2 runs in the 4th inning. We just needed them to get 2 more the rest of the game, and they just went flat. So GG on that one. Parlays, we did hit 1 of 2. So we had the Padres, the Astros, and the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks was quite interesting. They blew a 5-0 lead. Then they had to come back down 2. It was pretty wild. Baltimore, KC, Cleveland. So we ended up losing that one. Kansas City did not get the job done. So that was a little disappointing. Hate to see it. And the Orioles lost like 1-0. Something like that. I don't know. Just offense was weird in those series. Okay, so let's get into everything we got going. 10-5 overall on a Sunday. That's pretty damn good. That's really good for a Sunday. Props, we had a winning day there too. 4-2, 1-1 on the Nerfies. So not bad at all. Hot and cold. Let's jump right into that. So hot batter matchups. We got a couple of guys that are hot against Pablo Lopez on the Guardians. We got a couple of guys that are hot against Antonio Cinzatella, or the Dbacks going against the Rockies. Cold batter matchups. We got some guys that are cold against Max Fried. We got 4 Dodgers players that are pretty cold against Max Fried, so that's kind of interesting. A couple guys on the Rockies that are cold against Merrill Kelly. Hot pitcher matchups. Max Fried giving up a 205 average to this current Dodgers lineup. Andre Palante giving up a 200 average to this Pirates lineup. And Merrill Kelly giving up a 217 average to this Rockies lineup. Cold pitcher matchups. Pablo Lopez. He's got a 351 opponent average against the current Guardians team. And then Antonio Cinzatella has a pretty bad track record here. Let's get into the bullpen. Really just two teams that I have some concerns about, the Brewers and the Rockies. Brewers, like I said, went into extra innings yesterday, had to use a decent amount of arms. So they had 4 guys that threw over 20 pitches, 2 guys that threw over 30. So a little bit of concern, right? You've got Enoli Paredes, who threw 32 pitches on Saturday. Just a little concern. We'll see how it shakes out in this game. If the Phillies can get to Savali early, I would imagine they're just going to leave him out there to kind of fester for a while to try to salvage their bullpen for the rest of the series. And then the Rockies, a little cause for concern there with them. You can see they had 3 people that went 30 plus and then another guy that went 29. So that's where we're at there. Standings review. Orioles are now 3 games back of the East, but they're still 4.5 up in the wild card. So worst case, they've got themselves a wild card. They do play the Giants at home tomorrow, and the Yankees will be going to Seattle to play tomorrow. So decent amount of teams. Like I said, all the AL East is off today. AL Central, big series here. Guardians and the Twins. Royals are playing the Tigers. So the Royals are really hoping for some type of twin sweep, I guess, so they can try to get back into the race for the Central here. Tigers 2.5 games back of the wild card, so really big series against them, against the Royals at Kansas City. So we have the Tigers and the Mariners that are sitting 2.5 games back of the wild card of the Royals. So that's kind of where we're at in the AL. In the NL, Phillies have all but completed their NL East reign, so they pretty much have that wrapped up. Brewers have the Central wrapped up, and then in the West, Dodgers are looking really good, but still don't technically have it. 3.5 games up from the Padres. Wild card is looking pretty interesting. You've got the Braves and the Mets tied for that last wild card spot, so it should be a pretty tightly contested race coming down the stretch here. I'm curious to see how this all pans out. All right, let's get into our slate here real quick. 10 games. We got the Twins and the Guardians. We got Pablo Lopez going up against Matthew Boyd. Lopez, a 4.11 away ERA. Boyd, a 1.56 home ERA. If we look at Lopez, he's really been trending in a great direction after a really, really rough early season start that he's still trying to come back from a metrics perspective. But he's given up 3 earned runs in his last 5 games. All of those were against the Tampa Bay Rays. So he's gone 4 games without giving up a run. If we look at Cleveland, they've only scored 4 earned runs off the last 4 right-handed starters. So the offense is sputtering for sure. Lopez, 4.63 ERA versus Cleveland since 2023. So he's got 23.1 innings pitched over about the past year, and they've scored 12 earned runs off of him. So they've definitely had his number. If we look at Boyd, he's only given up 4 earned runs in his last 4 games, 3 earned runs in his last 3 home games. So he's been pitching very, very well. He's given up 1 earned run in 5 of his 6 starts. So he has been pretty lights out. I've already talked about it. I don't like the way this Twins team looks against left-handed pitching. Cleveland obviously has some familiarity and some success off of Lopez. So give me the Guardians at home. Still one of the better at-home teams at 45-27. Splits for Pablo, 226 to lefties, 253 to righties. Boyd sub 200 against lefties and righties. So good spot here. I do like the under. I think it did unfortunately drop to 7.5, but I got it at 8. So I like the under 8 for sure in that one. Nats Mets. Jake Irvin going up against Sean Manaea. This game makes me a little nervous. I mean, the Mets are a pretty big favorite, but if we go back to left-handed pitching, the Nats were absolutely tearing the cover off the ball. 3+ earned runs off the 4 of the last 5 left-handed starters. Now, they didn't get to the last one, but we saw them absolutely smack around guys like Carlos Rodon, and a few of those guys. So they were getting somewhere between 3, 4, and 5 runs off of them. So that makes me a little nervous because this was not that long ago. Manaea about a 4 home ERA, Irvin about a 4 away. So pretty even there. Manaea is trending in a really good direction. 5 earned runs in his last 3. So he's been throwing the ball well. 10 earned runs in his last 3 home games against the Reds, the Orioles, and the Fish. If we look at Manaea, 9 earned runs in his last 3 games versus Washington. So it does scare me a little bit, especially when we get this over-under at 7.5. In 2024, he's faced them 1 time, and he had a good outing. 1 earned run in 7 innings at home. We look at Jake Irvin, not such a good outing against the Mets at Citi Field in July. Gave up 6 earned runs. He's given up 14 earned runs over his last 3 games, 12 earned runs over his last 3 away games. So, I mean, over 7.5 looks really juicy. It's really kind of a fishy line given the situation. So it kind of tells me the books expect Manaea to pitch really well. So I'm going to go Mets in this spot. A very, very soft lean. You can get Nats team total over 3.5 at plus money. So like I said, they've been hitting the lefties really well. All right, Dodgers, Braves. We saw the Dodgers finally wake up and take a game. We look at Max Fried, 3.5. Home ERA, Yamamoto really is just kind of coming back from injury. So his last game was his first in quite a while. He only went 4 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 8 Ks. So he absolutely blew by his K prop. If we look at Fried, he's got a 3.02 career ERA versus the Dodgers. Pretty damn good, really. He's given up 7 earned runs in his last 3 games, 7 earned runs in his last 3 home starts against the Blue Jays, the Phillies, and the Fish. I would lean Dodgers here. I think Yamamoto should have some success. He's obviously not going to be in the game for a long time. I would imagine he could probably go 5 this outing. I'm sure there's still a set pitch limit that he's on, but I just like the way the Dodgers have been hitting lefties over the past 2 weeks. So give me the Dodgers to win this one and split the series. All right, Tigers, Royals. I believe Reese Olson is going to be making his return today. It hasn't been officially announced, but from what I could research, I do believe it's going to be Reese Olson. I don't think he's going to be in the game for a very long time. His last rehab start, he only went 45 pitches, and then he threw a simulated game on Thursday. So maybe he's worked up to 60 at most, right? So we'll probably only see him for 3 to 4 innings. Seth Lugo on the other side of the mound. If we look at Reese Olson, he is 0-2 with a 2.53 career ERA versus the Royals. Already pitched against them twice this year, 9.2 innings and 2 earned runs. So Olson was having a really good season until he got hurt. If we look at Lugo, he has absolutely dominated this Tigers team. 3-0 with a 1.29 career ERA versus the Tigers over 3 games. He's already pitched against them twice this year. 15 innings pitched, 1 earned run. So he's really been able to keep them at bay. Lugo, 2 earned runs in his last 3. So he had some rough starts, but he's really been trending in the right direction. 8 earned runs in his last 3 home starts. So kind of a tough. He had Guardians, he had Phillies. So I like the Royals to get the job done today. All right, next game, Phillies and the Brewers. Aaron Civale going up against Ranger Suarez. So Civale's got a 3.30 home ERA. Suarez is better away than he is at home. It's really hard to fade Suarez away. He's been pitching lights out. 2.60 away ERA. It's actually the first time Civale's faced the Phillies. So, of course, he came over from Tampa Bay, so he was in the American League. Civale's given up 5 earned runs in his last 3 games, 3 earned runs in his last 3 home games. So he's been pitching really well, both at home and on the road. That said, it's Aaron Civale. I don't trust this guy. Suarez, 2.87 career ERA versus the Brewers. He's given up 8 earned runs in his last 3 games, 4 earned runs in his last 3 away games. So I like Suarez away. I'm very comfortable fading Civale. And I love taking Suarez away. So give me the Phillies. I love them to get to Civale here. If we look at Civale, he's given up a 200 average to lefties, 174 to righties. So his splits are really good, whereas Suarez has actually been struggling a little bit last 30. 350 to lefties, 293 to righties. So you can certainly make a case for the Brewers at home, probably the second best home team. So there is definitely a path to take the Brewers here. But they're traveling back from a West Coast trip, so they had to come all the way from Arizona back home. Phillies were at home, so very short trip for them to get to Milwaukee. All right. Athletics and the Cubs. Joey Estes going up against Shota Imanaga. If we look at Imanaga, 2.93 home ERA. Estes, 6.18 away ERA. Estes is one of those guys pitches really well at home, not so good away. Imanaga, 6 earned runs over his last 3 games, 3 earned runs in his last 3 home games. So he's pitched pretty well at home. If we look at Oakland, really struggling against lefties. They've only gotten 6 runs against the last 4 left-handed starters. That said, these weren't your average left-handed starters. It was Garrett Crochet, Framber Valdez, Tariq Skubal, and Cody Bradford. Now, Bradford's just an average lefty, but the other 3 pretty damn good. So can look into that a little bit. Estes, 8 earned runs in his last 3, 7 earned run in his last 3 away games. I like the Cubbies to get the job done today. The wind is always blowing in at Wrigley. Damn, it's annoying. But I do like the Cubbies to get the job done today for sure. All right, Pirates, Cardinals. Paul Skeens Day going up against Andre Palante. Skeens, 1.49 away ERA. Palante, 4.73 home ERA. Skeens already faced this team twice this year. 1 at home, 1 away. 14.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 16 K. So he's been able to shut them down. If we look at Skeens, 3 earned runs in his last 4, 5 earned runs in his last 3 away games. 5 of his last 7 starts have been at home. So it's really been a while since he's pitched away fairly consistently. It's kind of worked out where he's been at home, which I'm sure is fantastic for the Pirates fans because they love to see Skeens pitch. All right, Palante. 2 games versus Pittsburgh already this year. Pretty good success. 13 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 Ks. If we look at Palante, 10 earned runs in his last 3, 9 earned runs in his last 3 home starts. So he is better away than he is at home, which is kind of an oddity where all the Cardinals pitchers for the most part are not good at Busch Stadium, which is a pitcher-friendly park. It's so weird. But give me the Pirates here. I like the first 5. Over-unders at 7. I wouldn't really touch it. I think it's pretty appropriate, but I like the Pirates. All right, Dbacks and the Rockies. So Antonio Senzatella is going to be pitching. This guy's not good. He's pitched in the league for a while. This will be his first start this year. He's got 145 games spread out over 7 seasons, 4.87 career ERA, 1.44 WHIP. If we look at his advanced metrics, projected to give up a batting average of 339 and an ERA of almost 11. 50% hard hit and a 13.3% K rate. So this guy's not going to strike you out, and he's going to allow some piss missiles. So love this spot for the D-backs. If we look at Kelly, he's pitched very well against this Rockies team. He's got a 1.82 ERA versus them since 2022. That's over 8 games. He's only given up 2 earned runs at Colorado earlier this year in April. So he's got a lot of experience pitching at quarters, and he's pitched very well there. So I will back him in this spot. He's given up 9 earned runs in his last 3, 12 earned runs in his last 3 away games. So a little bit scary, but with Antonio on the other side of the bump, we've got some bullpen issues for the Rockies. I love for the D-backs to get the job done. Definitely like a run line at -112, first 5 -0.5, so we'll talk about that. All right, next to last game, White Sox Angels. Reed Detmers going up against Jonathan Cannon. Boy, White Sox struggle against left-handed pitching. They got 4 earned runs the other day versus J.P. Sears. However, if we go back to the previous 7 lefties they had faced, they had a combined 4 earned runs. Pretty bad. And they hadn't scored more than 1 off of any of them. So that was the first time they scored more than 1 off a lefty in about 3 weeks. If we look at Reed Detmers, 5.5 away ERA. Cannon, about 4.25 home ERA. Detmers, 1 game versus the White Sox back in 2023. Absolutely locked them down. 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned runs. Detmer's been really sharp since he came back from injury. So he's only pitched 2 games. Given up 4 earned runs, but he has pitched extremely well, and he's faced some tough teams too. These weren't candy starts. If we look at Cannon, 8 earned runs in his last 3 games, 12 earned runs in his last 3 home games. That said, he's kind of had a rough stretch. He had to face the Guardians, the Mets, and the Tigers, 3 fairly hot teams, 3 potential playoff teams. Give me the Angels in this spot. Really hard to back the Angels, but White Sox are trash. Cannon hasn't been pitching great at home. All right, last game on the card, and then we'll get the show on the road. Astros, Padres, Spencer Arrighetti going up against Yu Darvish. Arrighetti, 5.22 away ERA. If we look at Darvish, 4.29 home ERA. Arrighetti, 5 earned runs in his last 3. 3 earned runs in his last 3 away games. All 3 of those were at Cincinnati, and he's faced a pretty tough stretch there. Cincy, Philly, Baltimore. So Arrighetti has been pretty sharp away, actually. Yu Darvish has only had 2 games since he came back from injury, given up 5 earned runs. Gave up 3 to the Tigers and then 2 at Seattle. So kind of hard to say what he's going to do. He's only gone 7.2 innings over his last 2 starts, but he did go 5 his last start. So I would say we can expect 5 to 6 out of him. I've just seen some control issues out of him. We haven't seen his pitches kind of work the way they should, so he's still kind of rounding into form. But I think we should see improvement this start. I would lean Padres, but just not. This is probably just, I don't want to touch this game. I could see either team getting the job done today. We do have the wind blowing in a little bit. It's just kind of a spot I don't want to touch. All right, pitch sheet. Take a screenshot of that. Do with that what you will. All right, best bets. A lot of bets I like today. I like this card for some reason, which typically doesn't pan out well. All right, Minnesota, Cleveland, under 8. I think Lopez has a pretty good day. Boyd's had a lot of success, so I like the under 8. 2 teams that have really kind of been struggling offensively. Angels first 5 -0.5. Just a system play against the White Sox. I think Detmer shuts them down. Give me Detroit and KC under 8.5. If it's Reese Olson. If this is not Reese Olson, I do not play this. So I will wait and see once that is confirmed who is pitching. Give me the Phillies first 5. So we're not doing the half. You can get the half at a pretty good value, but I just want to do first 5 straight up. I think the Phillies get some runs off Cervalli. You could also look at their first 5 over. I think it's like 2.5 at plus money. Cubs first 5 -0.5. So this is where we're going to back Imanaga and fade Estes as he hasn't been throwing so well. And then give me Pirates first 5 -0.5. This is kind of a ballsy play. Maybe one I would, it's probably my least favorite on the straight bets, but back in that Skeens will get the job done. We just haven't seen the Cardinals do anything offensively in 3 series. So I feel like if the Pirates can just get 1, we got a really good chance of hitting this. And then give me Diamondbacks first 5 -1/2. This is just taking Kelly. He's had a lot of success against this Rockies team, and they're throwing a minor leaguer who has an expected ERA of 11, right? He hasn't done so hot in the majors, so I like that play. Parlays, give me D-backs run line, Mets money line, Cubs money line, plus 333. Give me the Phillies, the Angels, and the Pirates on the money line at plus 378. Fun parlay is going to be the D-backs, the Cubs, the Mets, the Phillies, the Angels, the Pirates. Just a little small six-legger at 1,643. Upset parlay, Cleveland, Detroit, and Houston at plus 835. Props I like, Jonathan Cannon under 4.5 Ks at minus 140. Spencer Arrighetti over 4.5 Ks at minus 125. Yu Darvish over 4.5 hits at minus 135. Brent Rooker over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at minus 105. And Gary Sanchez under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at minus 115. Murphys I like, Padres and the Astros, the Pirates and the Cardinals, the Dodgers and the Braves, and the Twins and the Guardians. So that's what I've got. I appreciate you guys tuning into the video today. Like I said, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you see a favorite play that I missed. Would love to see kind of what you guys are playing. And I will catch you in the next video.